Hi, and welcome to Eating Plebian. Meatloaf. It is classic Americana. I have chosen this particular recipe because it goes back to what are basics in terms of how we used to eat and how we can eat now very simply, affordably, get a lot of protein for just a little bit of money. And this particular one has been in my family for quite a while, like a number of recipes that I featured here in Eating Plebian. This one gets rid of several of the items of other recipes that I've seen for meatloaf. There's no milk in it. There's a couple other pared downs, but honestly, it doesn't miss a thing. And frankly, I think when we get back to just the basic meatloaf, the way our grandparents made it, I think this is really the way to go, especially if you are a new or novice cook. This is one that doesn't have a terrible amount of ingredients involved in it. You can combine it, shape it, put it in, and have something that you know is really going to work out for us. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ingredients. In the big mixing bowl, we've got 1 pound of ground chuck, ground beef, hamburger, whatever you want to call it. This is 93% lean. You could get less lean or more lean, depending on your needs, but I'll be addressing why it is that I chose 93 shortly. I've also got 1 pound of ground pork over here. The ground pork, there isn't a scaling system for how much fat is in pork, usually a whole lot more, but try to get the leanest you can. Moving on to the ingredients that are specific to the meatloaf itself, I have 1/2 a large onion or 1 small onion chopped up, fairly small. I've got 3 to 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 3 to 5 garlic cloves that I've minced up, 1 cup of breadcrumbs. You can use plain or Italian seasoning, right up to you. 2 eggs, salt and pepper, and then waiting along in the wings, we're going to have to glaze this. So I have the classic recipe here, 1/3 cup of ketchup. I have 1 tablespoon of prepared mustard. That's the powder, not the stuff you put on hot dogs. I've got a tablespoon of brown sugar and a little bit more Worcestershire sauce, and that's about 2 teaspoons, and that'll be going in, and we'll be mixing that together after we take care of the meatloaf itself. So much of this is easy to do. You can tell it's just add, mix it up very lightly, and we shape it. So what I've got here is I've got the onion that I talked about. I'm just going to put this right in. My garlic, get in there. My breadcrumbs. I want to put in about 3/4 to 1 teaspoon black pepper. You can knock that down if you'd like. Anywhere between 1/2 and 1 is probably good. And I'm going to put in a teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to add to that by introducing some liquids. Just the Worcestershire sauce, and of course I have the 2 eggs, which will kind of act sort of like liquids, at least for a little bit, but their importance is much more in their proteins that they carry on the inside. They will act as a binder, especially with a little bit of heat and with the interaction of the proteins in the meat and also in the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to start kneading this up. Give me just a second because I'm going to put on a pair of gloves. All right, I'm back and I'm all begloved. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to very gently, believe it or not, just pull this apart. What I do not want to do, and what if you do, I need to choose my words better. If you were to squeeze this and kind of mush it up, that's what leads to very tough meatloaf. So what we actually want to do is we want to toss it more than anything else. Now, we do have to separate the meat. It came in 2 different packages. And so I'm basically just kind of pulling it apart. And we will have to toss it around a little bit in order to get all of the granulated and the liquid ingredients interspersed into the mix. But it's very important not to, squeeze it or push it down or whatever. That's what leads to the very tough stuff. That also leads me to another thing about this recipe is the lack of milk that I see some people put in. I mean, honestly, all you're doing is you're putting in liquid that is going to do 2 things. Number 1, drain off. Now, some of the casein, I'm sure, will probably stay in there, the milk proteins, and maybe a little bit of milk fat. But it's also going to be a little bit harder to actually get the meatloaf to stay in form if you are not cooking inside of a containerized vessel. And by a containerized vessel, I mean either a casserole dish or a loaf pan, that sort of thing. It won't stand on its own, or at least will be a little bit tougher to get to stand on its own. So, all right, I think I got all the big pieces here. I'm going to drag my thumbs through like this, not to squeeze, but just to get this stuff right where I want it in terms of homogeneity. And pull apart a couple more big ones that I find. Just be gentle, like you're tossing a salad. Now, we're also going to have to do a little bit of squeezing when it comes to moving things around inside of our loaf pan, dish, whatever you want to call it. But that's just to get the air gaps out. I think we have it. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So there we are. It's not been crushed. It's not been squeezed. It's not been put through a butcher's sausage press. But now I'm going to use this. It is just a loaf pan or a loaf dish. And I'm going to place it in on the inside. Now, you'll also notice that I've got this plastic wrap here. It's going to assist in getting it out because I'm going to do the molded variety. It's going to be able to shed off a lot of the fat that ends up draining out. I'm going to put this in here. And so it's not going to be swimming in rendered fat. Now, you could do this simply by getting rid of or not using the plastic wrap and cooking it in here. And that is perfectly acceptable, perfectly fine. The one thing that you're going to have to do, however, is make sure that you are using the leanest of the meat that you can find for this sort of thing, because it's going to render out and it's going to end up in kind of a soupy bowl, or it's going to end up in like a meatloaf stew, I guess. You can still drain that off, obviously. But this way, it's going to stand. And that's why I was talking about the leanness of the ground beef as I was going over the ingredients. All right, so I have a pan here. I've got a rack on it, and I've got a smaller rack on top because I thought this one might be just a little bit too broad. It stands a little bit taller, but I'm going to pull this out and place it on the rack. I have my oven set to 375 degrees. It's already preheated. Would you look at that? Beautiful. That came out better than it usually does, frankly. All right, and so what we want to do is we're not going to cook this entirely in one step. What I want to do is I want it to be able to set itself. So I'm going to put it in my 375 degree oven for 20 minutes. And then when that is done, we'll go ahead and we're going to apply our glaze to it, and then we'll cook it for the rest of the way. The total cooking time is going to be between 45 and an hour and 15 minutes, somewhere around there. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull these gloves off. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to put it in my center oven rack. If you have a tall contraption like I've kind of pieced together there, make sure you account for your oven rack positions before you heat everything up, and then you'd end up having to move the racks around after your preheating's done, lose all the heat, and have to wait for a while longer. That's miserable, I know. All right, so I'm putting in the ketchup. Where is my spatula? There it is. You're hiding from me. Get this all in. Is a third of a cup really still a third of a cup after you scoop it up from one vessel to the next? It always sticks a little bit. You always lose a bit. I always worry about stupid stuff like that. That's just me. My mustard, my brown sugar, and my couple of teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. And I'll just do that. Off there. And we're just going to mix this in. Again, no biggie. This is an easy recipe. There's already a bit of salt in here. It has a vinegar base that is for the ketchup. So that's going to add a little bit of brightness to the whole sauce, which is why people have been using either this sauce or ketchup, just plain ketchup. I'm just as good with ketchup. I really am, I swear. But for you folks, I figured I'd do it right. All right, it's been 20 minutes since we put it into the oven. Let's go ahead and pull it out. And yes, it looks like it's set quite nicely. We've started to brown on the outside. So now we're going to hit it with our glaze. So take this, and we're going to apply fairly liberally. I can just do this. And we want to go down the sides. I used also this standing on its own version of the molding instead of just keeping it in the loaf pan, because now we can apply this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides instead of just the top. So get this in on here. I've got a couple of pieces of onion falling off. That's okay. So we're almost there. We have one more thing that we need to do with this now. And you'll note that I put this in originally without a food thermometer. We absolutely need one, but I knew at the same time that there was going to be no way in 20 minutes that this thing was going to be done. So I was just going to put it in now. I'm going to use my wireless, and I'm going to plug it in right for the center of the meatloaf. Just like that. And we're already sitting at, what is that, about 87 degrees. That's fine. So we are going to continue on with the baking process. I'll put this back in. I'm going to grab my other mitt. That thing's hot. For another 40 minutes, probably. I will be checking on it beforehand, though. Just keeping tabs on it. All right. Back for the second stage. Join me back for the second stage cook. All right, And you look at that, 145 degrees, that is the safe eating temperature for pork. And so turn my thing off, get my oven gloves. And see what we got. There we go. That looks nice. I'm going to pull this out. Let that cool down for a couple of minutes. And now I'm going to get on toward plating. And there we go. We've got one old-time meatloaf right here. Very, very easy to make. I'm just going to slice into this. And open it up. And that is a beautiful thing to behold right there. Well, we're going to be eating here, so let's go ahead and I'm going to get everything out on my table. Thanks once again for joining us here at Eating Plebian. Again, please do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe buttons. My whole purpose here is to teach people how to cook and get out from underneath the restaurant and the takeout expenses. And you can do it while eating better than you're probably going to have at those restaurants in a whole lot of cases. Anyways, thanks, and I'll see you next time.